Hello, I hope you're good today. I'm not doing too bad, thank you. It is freezing cold. Got the heating on, but even so, it's still freezing cold. So you'll have to excuse me with my hood on here. So today we'll do a little reading towards the end, I'm sure, because we always do that. But I want to talk today about kind of one of the things psychics say a lot, not just tarot readers, but mediums, psychics, anyone who kind of works with the divine knowledge, the divine influences that come into our lives. There are a lot of expressions, and we all kind of learn what they mean by heart because we have to keep on saying them because that's the messages that we're given to actually say to people. But I often wonder if everyone understands, So today, grounding. We often hear people say, get yourself grounded or make sure you're doing grounding and protection. The two go very closely together. And the reason for grounding and protection, and grounding, even just if someone says get grounded, it is a kind of protection. There is darkness out there. I don't like to dwell on it too much. We're not here to give people bad news, and that's certainly not what I'm about in any sense. But as long as I've been a medium, I've been aware that there's kind of another side of the influences of the world and of life, the universe and everything, which can kind of pull us down. Now, depending on your point of view and your perspective and where you are in your spiritual journey, that could just be, something within your higher self that says to you, no, you'll never do what you're trying to do. You'll never achieve anything. Just kind of, back off and forget it and just stay as you. A classic example would be, that I think we all are all familiar with, would be someone who's an alcoholic, perhaps. They've got a voice in their head telling them, oh, no, you're an alcoholic. You'll always be an alcoholic. Remember that time you got arrested? No, you're a character. You'll never change. And that is kind of part of your own self, I guess, because we all have that little inner voice that prompts us one way or the other. But it's much better if it's prompting us in a positive direction. And as I give that example about someone who's an alcoholic, I think we all actually also know that alcoholics do recover quite often. So that voice in their head that's telling them they're no good is actually wrong. It's actually a lie. And the darkness always is, it's always up to no good in whatever form it comes. So that would be one level of telling someone they need to get grounded, because someone who's actually struggling with alcohol or drugs, television, even any kind of addiction, has got that voice pulling them down. And the more they actually kind of feel that they're grounded, that to them is going to be like that they're centered in themselves, and that's going to make them feel like they've got every chance, they've got every possibility of actually changing things for the better. But as soon as you start thinking about change, the thought of change is something that many of us fear is going to knock us off balance in some way. So that's another thing that grounding is really, really good for. There's also kind of spiritual dark forces. There really are. I hate to say it, because I don't like to acknowledge them and give them life. But at the same time, if people in my position never actually mentioned things like that, I don't think the results would be good, because people do need to be aware of it. And it's something that, particularly when you're starting off on your spiritual journey, you need to be aware of. Excuse me. There's a lady I've been working with for a little while through the Facebook system, because I can't really do anything much face-to-face at the moment because of the world situation and the way everything is. But I've been working with her on Facebook, and she started kind of moving towards wanting to do readings. She's worked with crystals, she's worked with the divine energies a lot, and she wanted to start doing readings with cards and mediumship readings, pure psychic readings as well, And she messaged me after a little while and said that, she was feeling more tuned in some ways than ever before, but that voices were coming to her and just kind of trying to discourage her, saying things that, I can get you, I can stop what you're trying to do. And whatever energy that is, it's what you might call a chancer, there's no way that the dark can overturn the light. It just doesn't work that way. Sure, it gets dark every night, and then every day it gets light again. We're always hearing prophecies of the end of the world, and some people are saying it's coming up on the 21st of December 2021. No, 2020, sorry. I doubt it very much. I don't think the world is going to suddenly end on either of those dates, actually. But it's something for people to worry about, you know. The fact is that the darkness, it can't win. It really can't. But it's going to try all the time. And that is also going to make a lot of people feel a bit knocked off balance as well. And it's important to keep your balance as well as you can. So there's a visualization exercise, and it works on all levels of this. Even if you don't believe in God, if you don't believe in spiritual forces at all, this is something that will work very positively for your own higher self in terms of achieving your goals and achieving your ambitions in life. And when I do this, I close my eyes, and you don't absolutely have to close your eyes, but as I said in a previous video, it's a great affirmation that you actually want to connect with just the unseen side of things. Again, even if you don't actually believe in divinity or anything about the angelic realms or anything like that, closing your eyes just shuts out the everyday world from around you and gets you focused on deeper things. So you close your eyes. Some breathing exercises are quite good as well. Just take a nice long deep breath in. You hold it for a couple of seconds and then you breathe out quite slowly. And if you take longer to breathe out than you took to breathe in, that will actually slow your heart rate and just get things to calm down a lot, make things better. You know, sometimes when people are hyperventilating, they'll put a bag over their face just for a second, and they'll breathe in and out of the bag, and that reduces the amount of oxygen they're getting, and that just slows things down as well. Of course, you've got to take the bag off and come back to the real world for anything to really be good about that. And such is the case with spiritual practice and grounding. You do actually have to come back from it and live your life in the world. I got a delivery of logs this morning. If I hadn't done, I'd probably be wearing one of those masks that covers your whole face, because it would just be incredibly cold. And we've all got to do those kind of real life everyday things. But in terms of grounding, you know, close your eyes, do that bit of breathing, and just visualize, see in your mind's eye, roots coming down from your feet, thick, strong roots going right down into the earth. And even if you're in an upper room, if you're not actually on the ground floor, you can still visualize them going right down through the building, right into the ground. This really works, okay? And they go deeper and deeper and deeper, and they wrap around the earth's core. That's a really good trick that someone taught me early on. You visualize them wrapping around the earth's core and coming all the way back up again and wrapping around your ankles, and they're holding you really tight. Now, because they're your roots and you've visualized them, they're more or less at your bidding. So you can move around, you can do whatever you want, you can turn in any direction you want. But no force outside of yourself can actually knock you off balance. That's what you've got to visualize. And when you do that visualization exercise, it works like magic. It really does. It grounds you and makes things feel a lot more solid. Now, I very often tell people to visualize grounding in nature, and that's quite easy for me to do because I live in the countryside. In fact, let's have a bit of an inset and have a look at the woods around my house now. And this is what I'm so very lucky to have just outside of my window. You can see some of the vastness of it looking off into the distance there, but it is very overgrown, and we're blessed with a farmer who owns that bit of land on the other side of my fence, who doesn't chop the trees down. You know, he leaves it for creatures and insects to live in. And when you're thinking about grounding yourself, even if you live in a great big city, this, my friends, is what you're actually grounding yourselves into. This is what it's all about. Up the track a little way from my house we come to this, and there are leaves everywhere, and this is another part of grounding yourself into nature. You realise that you're part of something eternal and that nothing can ever actually take that away from you, and that is something worth hanging on to, because what we don't accomplish in this incarnation, in this life, we get another chance to accomplish. We've got eternity to get it right, and that is such a grounding thought and such a consolation, because all we've really got to do is keep going, and grounding is all a big part of that. And it's such a vast thing as well. We'll take a look round the front now, and you can see the vastness of it all looking across the valley there. That's been the same for something like 400 years. Nothing has changed in that landscape since then. So it's vast, and when you ground yourself, this really is what you're grounding yourself into. And wherever you are in the world, whatever's going on in your life, even if you're in a real big built-up city, you've got to remember that all the concrete, all the paving, all the roadways and everything are actually somewhere down there built on top of actual solid ground, which is actually put there by nature. And all the chemicals and stuff that we have all around us in the world, they might be man-made, but they're man-made out of elements that came from the earth. So everything around you does have a soul, and you can ground and protect yourself wherever you are. We'll talk more about protection in another video, I think. It's an absolutely massive subject. But very briefly, when you ground yourself, if you also visualise a kind of a balloon coming down around your head, all the way down to your feet, and nothing can come into that balloon unless it's coming from the light, unless it's coming from a loving source in some way. You know, no evil, no dark energies can get in there. That's going to help as well. An old friend of mine used to call that the cosmic condom, so you can make of that what you will. But those are the two things, you know, grounding and protection. They're really worth doing before you do any kind of spiritual exercise at all. And as I say, I will do a fair bit more actually about the idea of protection in another video coming soon, no doubt. But right now, I'm going to go into a very quick reading. I'm going to do a 3-card spread for you today. As you might have noticed me waving them around a minute ago, Tarot in Wonderland is what we're going with today. And this is actually a very, very grounded deck. The author, I'm afraid, I think he took rather a lot of drugs, actually. Opinions vary about that, but I think he took rather a lot of drugs. That's the author of Alice in Wonderland. Not the Wonderland Tarot. She's as clean as a whistle, as far as I know, Barbara Moore. But yeah, those Alice in Wonderland stories that the deck is based on were written by someone who took quite a lot of drugs, I think. And one of the reasons I think that is, see, it's called Tarot in Wonderland, and it was written while he was on holiday in a place called Sunderland. He was in a little village called Whitburn in the area known as Sunderland in the northeast of England. And I was born and grew up in Sunderland, and I've seen a lot of the images and things that he would have seen and turned into the story. And I think you'd have had to be at least a little bit off your face to actually, you know, read into things what he read into things. Like the Grinning Cheshire Cat was an actual stuffed lion in a museum in Sunderland. I don't know if it's still there, but it was there right through to, or at least the late 1970s. Then they remodeled the museum and it all changed. But it is nevertheless grounded in reality, you know, and for me it's somewhere I often visualise putting my roots down, because that's where my roots were as I was growing up. So Tarot in Wonderland, I've had a good shuffle now. We'll take 3 off the top, put the rest out of the way, and I will invite you to choose card number 1, card number 2, or card number 3. 1, 2, 3. Which one of those are you drawn to? Got to make your decision now. It's no good waiting to see what the card is before you decide. Yeah? So we'll turn over card number 1. Ace of Swords. Now, this is a really positive card. The aces are always good to get. It's one of the best, most auspicious cards in the deck, and it shows that whatever you're actually working on at the moment is going to bring results. And here's another thing actually telling you to get grounded. We've got mist all over this card, and it's obviously set very high up in the mountains. But the magical wand is appearing in the sky in front of the sword, and the character to whom this arm belongs must be standing on something firm somewhere underneath. And because, you know, this spiritual kind of, the alchemy, as it were, of manifestation that's going on here in the Ace of Swords is really kind of up in the air. You can imagine it's going to be really important to make that groundedness work. See, another side of grounding that is very important, and that this card does show very strongly, is that whatever spiritual work we do, we're trying to draw the best energies down from the higher realms, but we're channeling them into the earth, you know, and we are like the electrical wire through which all that information flows. And, you know, it's joining the higher realms with the goddess energy of Mother Earth, and it's bringing better things into this world. It's making a better world for all of us to live in. So, Ace of Swords, you know, do the thing you want to do, okay? This is really saying go for it, but you've got to make a decision. That's what the swords are really all about. You've got to decide that you want to do it. You want to make it happen. Card number 2, Queen of Pentacles, and a similar message in a different way. Very high pentacle energy here. And in the story of Alice in Wonderland, she goes into this shop, and the sheep shopkeeper is the actual Queen of Pentacles. She's got a crown on there. I like this character, actually. I've met people that look like that in real life. Not sheep, but just people who, I don't know, look like that, have that kind of expression somehow. And there's actually a doll of Alice up on the shelf there as well. But Alice goes in and she can choose whatever she wants, but she's got to reach out and take it herself. So rather like in the Ace of Swords, actually, this really is about making it happen. And Alice makes a very grounded kind of a choice. She chooses an egg, which has all that kind of fertility about it, and suggests that whatever you choose now is actually, again, like in the last card, is going to go forward and happen as long as you make that decision, as long as you make that move. But it's also grounded in reality, because whatever happens, she's got an egg to eat, you see. So that's no bad thing at all, is it? And card number 3, it's the Hanged Man. Slightly different message, but it's pointing in the same way. Now, the Hanged Man is not at all grounded, is he? Because he's hanging from a tree. Or is he? Because he's tuning into the energy of the tree, no doubt. And I guess that his energy is grounded by the tree he's hanging from in so many ways. But it isn't direct, and he isn't going to get anything done while he's hanging around like that. This can be putting something off. Sometimes it's an indication that it's best to put something off for the moment, and that precise interpretation is entirely up to you. But what I'm seeing here is prevarication, kind of putting things off and not wanting to get on with things. So he needs to get down from the tree, he needs to plant his feet on solid ground and be grounded, and then he can actually get on with what he wants to do. Things aren't too bad though. He's got his cup of tea, which somehow he's managing to drink, and someone's obviously given him a piece of toast, or he's brought it with him. So, you know, no one's saying you're not going to be looked after. No one's saying that disaster is going to happen to you if you're hanging around and kind of putting off doing the inevitable and actually getting things done that need to be done. But it's going to be much better if you actually step forward and do what you want to do. You see, things go in cycles, and if you don't manage to take full advantage of the opportunities around you this time, there will come another time when you can take advantage of those opportunities, and actually make those things happen. But you'll get a lot further in your life, in this incarnation anyway, if you get down from the tree and start doing things and start making things happen. So there we are, my friends. That's quite a short one today, but I hope it's been of some value to you. I certainly enjoyed doing it. Sorry the sunlight wasn't very good out there today. It's really dull weather at the moment, but if I wait for a bright sunny day, I'll be waiting for a very long time. So I hope you enjoyed having a look around the woods outside my house there. I am certainly really privileged to live here. And I'm privileged to have you guys as viewers as well, and subscribers. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do hit the subscribe button. It makes a huge difference to the channel, actually. When the YouTube algorithm sees the subscribers going up, it shows my videos to more people, so it helps me to get the word out. Meanwhile, if you're somewhere cold, Keep yourself warm. Whatever you do, it's really important to kind of keep that blood circulating in a nice, healthy way. Take good care of yourselves. Thumbs up, please, if you've enjoyed it. Leave me a comment, actually. It's always good to share the journey. And I'll see you again very, very soon. Peace.